So we've had 2 practice. Good to get the players out there, just in helmets. So still a lot of work to do, but it's good to finally get back out on the field with them. Somewhat of a normal situation. So, proud of the vaccination part by our players, staff, and really everyone in contact with our players, which is a lot of people. I think that's over 240 people. So I think that shows a lot about their safety, but also their commitment to each other. That to not just protect themselves, but to protect bringing something in here. So that took a while to get to that point, and I think it's really neat. I think it's a really good message, to the rest of the state and other people. Get what you emphasize. So it's great to see. But very competitive practices. 2 fields going. A lot of guys rotating 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s. For guys to have a lot of competition opportunity and figure things out early in camp.
Lane, it looked like this morning John Rice was taking a lot of reps at the slot, and mostly at the slot, not in a white quarterback jersey. What can you tell us about Kincaid Dent, Luke Altmaier right now? What you're looking for them throughout fall camp to try to fill that number 2 quarterback spot?
Yeah, Kincaid and Luke will be in a really big competition for that spot. Knowing that John at times could go back there, and but the focus is John playing a receiver, because I don't think he can get really good at that doing both. Having never done it before, so he's basically there, full time for right now, early in camp. See how we can develop him there, and that's really the only fair thing to do to him. If you go back and forth, it's just too hard at this level to get really good at it.
You brought up the vaccination. Obviously, that was a story that dropped yesterday. When we saw you at media days, you didn't really want to discuss the numbers. What kind of happened between then and now, and how did you guys kind of make that rally fairly quickly?
Well, I think as we got closer, for kids, just continuing to communicate with them, the importance of it. Also the rules. Just making sure that they understood. And so if you're not vaccinated and you're a close contact, you can do all this work, weight room, playbook, practice, everything, and then show up and get shut down because you're close contact and miss a game. But if you had the shot and you're a close contact, you're not. So, it's not just getting it, it's losing time otherwise. So it was a lot of work by our staff. Our coaches started it by our coaches being 100%. So we're going to go tell them, something to do, and our staff's not 100%. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I think that helped them too, knowing that their coaches had all done it, and then it kind of just spread through the building that way.
Obviously, getting 240 people to agree on anything is difficult. What was the resistance like, and at what point did you guys actually hit that 100% threshold?
That was a while. Like I said, that was a lot of work and a lot of different conversations. And sometimes, these are kids, so sometimes it was not just conversation with them. They were okay with it, but it would be a parent or a relative that wasn't. So that was not, we didn't get to 100% till right towards the end. And I just think as it got closer to that, kids saw, the reasons that everybody else was doing it for their team. And, I don't want to get into a big argument about what's right and wrong, but I think it's irresponsible not to. So I know I'll be criticized for that, but I think it is. So being a college football player, this is like, say to them, it's not this is different than a normal job. You're coming in, you're near these guys, you're impacting people's ability to play the games on certain weeks and getting shut down. So, this is not a normal job where you can just stay at home and zoom in on Saturday. A little bit different.
Lane, how important was it for Otis Reese to play the 3 games that he did last year, and what do you think it will be like to have him for a full season?
Well, that was a long year for him. Obviously we were grateful when it happened, but he went through a lot of ups and downs because it would look like it was close, then it wouldn't happen, and so I was just happy that he stayed with it. Did such a great job on service team, but stayed in the game plan. Knowing that at any time it could happen, and I'm sure, that was a struggle because it was so late in the season he still wasn't eligible. So he did a good job getting thrown in there, and now he's had a whole off season to really get comfortable and expect a really big season from him.
Lane, I want to ask you about the offseason acquisition of Orlando Umana, the center. Obviously, it lets you keep Caleb and Ben at guard positions, but how big of a get was that for you guys from the transfer portal, and what have you seen from him? What do you expect?
Well, he's had 2 good days. We've thrown him in there. Obviously, he has experience, has played a lot. But also there's, a learning process of playing center in our system, much different than when he came from with the tempo aspect of it. And really, if he plays slow, our whole offense is in trouble. So he's going to have to develop that way, improve on that, having not done that. But it does, if he can do that and play well, I think it allows us to play people at the right spots then, and for Ben, I think his best spot for the next level is guard, so it allows us to do that.
Lane, with the linebackers, just obviously a little bit of movement after Jaquez left. What have you seen from guys like Dalen stepping in there and then Chance coming in with his summer?
Well, a lot of competition there. It was kind of, Chance coming in. Obviously, we lost somebody that had a lot of experience playing there, but Chance has experience, so that helps out there. Chance has done a good job playing some more, 2 different positions through 2 days. So it's good to have. And if we're going to be really good on defense, we need a lot of guys to play well, because nowadays you can't play, all the snaps and play really well, in my opinion, especially with tempo and a little bit more of tempo, I guess, with Tennessee on our schedule now, coming on our schedule a year ago. So, we need a lot of depth.
It looked like Orlando was taking reps at center, and Ben Brown had moved over to guard. Is that something that you foresee kind of going forward? Is that just sort of working through it? How do you kind of see that shaping up?
You kind of missed that last part right there, didn't you? Yeah, that allows Ben to play, like I just said, his position that he really should be at for the next level, and that puts our guys in the best position. So that's the direction we're headed, and why we repped it that way.
Lane, what can you tell us about the competition at the slot? We talked about John Rice Plumlee, but what about Jacour Pearson and others who may be getting reps there?
Well, there's a lot of guys there. We've actually discussed just today moving 1 or 2 outside because there are so many, guys there when Plumlee comes into it. And so it's very competitive. Plus, we have some of our older guys playing in there some. Trying to figure out even what the best lineup is to start with. So without going into too much detail who's playing where, it's a very competitive spot and a number of guys there.
Hey Lane, last year defensive back was a problem for you guys when anybody went down with COVID or an injury or whatever. It looks like the freshmen that you brought in are all either ready to contribute or close to contribute, being able to contribute. How close do you think you guys are to having what you want back there?
Well, I think it is a good mix of some veteran players that return with a lot of young players. They obviously all won't play this year, but eventually, you know, that's going to be a really deep group as those guys get older. So I think it's a really good mix. We do a lot of multiple things where there's a lot of DBs on the field at the same time. So I think there'll be a lot of opportunity for those guys to play and you know, play a number of different spots.
What do you think the role tight end is going to have in this offense this year? And do you have an update on when you think Casey might be back?
Yeah, we hope Case will be back towards the end of camp. You know, we just we try to run our system, run our plays, and then as we figure out, you know, our personnel, we start to move our systems based off of that. You know, as we figure out what that year will be, it's why our offenses look different every year. So we'll figure that out because we don't have much experience there at all. So we need to see how much those guys can do, and then that'll decide how we figure out how we play.
Wayne, you've got some new faces on the defensive line, particularly defensive tackle. What are your expectations for Isaiah Heighton, Jamon Gordon, even Taiwan Malone at this point? What do you hope they can bring to this team?
Well, Taiwan is limited right now in what he can do early in camp. So, but you know, we recruited him for a reason. Great looking body, skill set of what they're supposed to look like and be able to move. So, both junior college guys being here in the spring was big for them. You know, to get work because we got to play better up there. So we need our returners to play better. We did not play well on the defensive line, especially on the interior part, and that'll make everybody play better when those guys do.
Along those lines, Sam Williams is one of your COVID seniors. What do you see in his development, and what are your expectations for him right now?
Well, we need Sam to play more consistent. Sam was an up and down player. You know, would have spurts of games where he would look like an NFL guy, you know, that we were, you know, really excited about, and he'd have spurts that he didn't. So he needs to become more consistent. He's missed time with us, you know, over the time of being here, and so, you know, he needs to continue to get better and stay out there on the field.
You said a couple weeks ago that you were looking forward to seeing Jerry on in a couple of new roles. Have you gotten to see anything these first 2 days yet, or just pure running back?
Some stuff and some individual things, but the schematic stuff will come a little bit later. You know, the first few days we try to run our base plays, so we can't tinker that really for a player, you know, because you got to fit things to how they work for the defense also.